I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome back to Indigenous Food Friday. Now, November is a very busy month for Native Americans because it is National Native American Heritage Month. And this means a lot for us, not just because of the recognition, but because, a lot of it is recognition, but also because we all come together and we show our stuff, we show our culture. It's harvest moon time, so we're all getting together, and natives love a good potluck. But today we're all about preserving food. Instead of making a meal, I'm going to show you how you can preserve your squash. You can do this with really any kind of squash. A lot of natives will dry like our yellow crookneck squash, but we'll do it in a spiral way and then hang it and then it dries. This is my hunk papa squash, and this is way too massive for me to do a spiral cut. But these are huge. And it's just me and my husband are really the only squash eaters. Those of you who follow me know my son is not a fan. So this is a lot of squash. So preserving it, drying it is a way that you can use that later on for your family, but also I can send this to our elders that they can use over the winter time or whenever. So that you don't see me wrestle with this ginormous squash, because I'm literally going to have to wrestle it. I'm going to demonstrate how to dry this kind of squash on this little guy, okay? Okay, so this is really simple. You can do this with butternut squash, acorn squash, pumpkin, really any kind of squash, so that you can dry it and preserve it. So we're just gonna start with this. The easiest way for me to do it is I cut off the ends, not too much, just enough to get the stems off, because we want that meat. And then you could cut it lengthwise and do, I am just gonna go ahead and cut it into sections. And then we can clean the guts out as we go along. And you don't need anything fancy to do this. You don't need a dehydrator, though if you have one, it works even better. I just use my oven. Now, if you live in a very arid climate, like in the Southwest, you can like hang these out on a netting and let them air dry. But I do not live in an arid climate right now. So I just use my oven. Okay, so I've just got these cut into like little O's. Now I'm just gonna cut them in half like this. And then we're just gonna clean the soft part out. And also make sure you gather those seeds. Those seeds are valuable, so don't throw them away. And we just clean that out. And yeah, you can literally do this with any kind of squash that is meaty, like an acorn squash, hunk papa. There's several others. I don't remember the names for all of them. My memory bank can only hold so much, So make sure you clean that out as much as you can to get the soft parts out. And of course you can boil and roast the seeds, but I always make sure I have enough seeds to plant for the next 2 years before I'll use the seeds for food. You look at all these gorgeous seeds, so of course they want to be planted next year. So, and I hope you're having a wonderful Native American Heritage Month. Sharing your foods and recipes with other people as well. I don't have any family that lives here. And there isn't any tribes here in Tennessee, like official tribes. Everyone here claims they're Cherokee, of course, but unfortunately many years ago, because of their mostly they all love Andrew Jackson here too, which is quite fun. Because he's the one that forcefully had all of the natives removed, especially from Tennessee and Florida. But he's the one that signed into law the native, or not even, it was the Indian Removal Act of, I think it was 1838. Yeah. So I'm not a fan. So it's great here when you'll hear people, oh, Andrew Jackson was the greatest president ever. Not so much. I guess if you consider, genocide, really cool, but yeah, not so much. So I send a lot of my seeds, and if I've got like my extra herbs that are dried and ready for preserved, I'll send those to the elders. My daughter started, it's called the Braiding Sweetgrass Group. Of course, named after Robin, why am I drawing a blank? Robin Wall Kimmerer. There we go. She's a member of my tribe. She wrote the book Braiding Sweetgrass. So they named it after her book. And they have a plot of land in Massachusetts. And they just plant native seeds. So I send a lot of seeds. I'll be sending a lot of seeds up there for them. And then I send some back to my tribe, since that's where I got these seeds in the first place. And then the dried preserved foods I'll send to our elders. And it doesn't just have to be my tribe. I'll send them wherever. You'll hear a call of action like we need food for our elders or whatever. And I'll, I always make sure I have some. And with the size of the squash that I have this year, I think I'll be able to send them plenty of dried squash. Okay, so now we have all of the guts out. Now we're going to peel it. Now you can peel this any way you want. I just have an old-fashioned peeler, and I'm going to just peel it. It's a lot easier for me to peel it this way rather than when it's the whole thing, because I can really get into all the nooks and crannies. Of course, there's going to be some areas where I'll have to get them with the knife. But you just want to barely take the skin off. You don't want to waste the meat of your squash. So just barely take the skin off. See, and it's not too bad so far. I'm going to jinx myself, right? I wonder if while I'm doing these, we should start having like some history lessons or something. That might be interesting, huh? This one is not wanting to peel too much, but it's good exercise for your hands too. I'm going to use the knife for the rest. Some precious seed. So those of you who don't know about the Indian Removal Act by President Andrew Jackson, I suggest you look it up and just, educate yourself on the truth that you probably did not learn about in school. Or, there's a lot of stuff I didn't learn until I went to college or until I investigated it myself. Investigated? Yeah, I said that right. Those of you who also know me know that I have a whole list of words that I can't pronounce. And I am adding to that list quite often. So that's always fun. Okay. So you're just going to skin all of these. And it'd probably be a lot smoother if like my kids were here and I'd have them help me, but my son is in school and my daughter's in school too, but out of state. So you can see we're just barely taking the skin off. Now I'm going to finish skinning these and then I'll be right back. So I am on my last piece that I'm peeling. And then we'll get on to the next part. So if you try this out, let me know what squash you're using and how it turned out for you. Of course, this last piece is going to give me a hard time. It's all right. Okay, so now we're just gonna cut these. Like I'm gonna kind of length like this. It's not really lengthwise. Because we're gonna make like inch cubes, like about that size. You don't want it too much smaller or it's gonna shrink down to nothing and then you can't get it off. So about this size, okay? Now I've got, you know, a baking sheet. I'm gonna line it with parchment paper. This will definitely probably take, I'll need another sheet. And then I just place these, the outside, so the skinned part that I peeled off, place that up, just like that. You don't want them touching, but you can get them fairly close so that you can fit more on here. Ooh, that was loud. Sorry about that. I'll probably do it again. So you just do that. So I cut these like this, and then you're gonna make those little cubes. Now I should tell you what you can use this for. So the same way that you would dry rice and beans, and then when you're ready to use them, you'll reconstitute them in water like overnight or add them to soup. Same rule applies here. These are really good to use if you're just making like a Three Sisters salad, which is with corn, beans, and squash. Maybe throw a little arugula in there. Reconstitute it in water overnight or for a few hours. It doesn't take too long. And then just add it to your Three Sisters salad. Any kind of cooking. It also makes a really good snack. Even if you don't rehydrate it, you can just add a little bit of oil or just eat it. Just pop it in your mouth and eat it without reconstituting it. That works fine too. And then you have like a snack. Some of these pieces you have to get a little creative with, but you know what to do. And so you can use a dehydrator. That's totally fine. I just don't have one. So I use my oven. I have an electric oven. Put it on the lowest setting it will go. Mine, the lowest setting is 170, and I think that's pretty standard. And you dry it. It depends on what kind of squash and how thick the chunks are. But it can take anywhere from 2 hours to 6 hours, just totally depending on what you have. And then you can store them in airtight, like Tupperware, or I store mine in jars because I like to stay away from plastic as much as possible. So I'll store these in mason jars just like I do my corn and beans. And it keeps very nicely. And then when I ship it, I just have like little paper bags I'll put them in so that I'm not sending them in a glass jar, you know. And it gets there very nicely. And as long as these are dried thoroughly and they don't get any moisture added to them, they'll keep forever. Squash is amazing. Okay, you can see like that was a small squash. I don't even know. I'll have to let you know how long it takes me to do that giant squash that's behind me. That's gonna take a minute, huh? Now that one, I'll probably wait to process until the kids are home, and it will be a family project for sure. But it'll be good. My daughter is coming to visit me. Well, visiting, I guess, my husband too. I guess she's gonna visit him too. Well, we're all flying to see family in Salt Lake in a couple of weeks, and it's been a while since we've like spent that much time with them, so I'm super excited. Not with them, I see my daughter all the time, but with the family that we have there. Okay, so now you can see I've got it all nice and pretty and cut out. Not quite touching, but pretty close. Now I'm just gonna slip this into the oven, and then when it's dry, we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. So this batch is done. It took about 2-3 hours. Now, it totally depends on the type of squash you are drying. Hung papa squash, butternut squash is a little less moisture dense. Acorn squash has a little bit more of a moisture content. So it just totally depends on the type of squash you are drying. So we went from fairly big chunks to about this size. And then I just keep them in mason jars. So we'll put them in mason jars, and then it just seals right up in my pantry. And as long as there isn't any moisture added, they will stay forever. And you can see how much less room they take up when they're like this. So you can really pack them in there, and then even just eat them as a snack. You can add them to trail mix, all sorts of stuff. And there you go, dried squash. And it's a great way to preserve food so that you can enjoy squash for the whole entire year. So I hope you enjoy. Bon appetit.